Well, I'm here today with David Blaze from TruthOrLie.ai. We're here at the FJA annual conference today, learning a lot about his product. I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought it was something really cool, really unique. So David, I know you're Polish. Your last name's a little bit harder to say, so we're going with David Blaze, which I love. But tell us, if you can, like the quick elevator pitch, just so people watching can know about this product, because I was like, wow, this is a really cool product. If wives found this product, there's gonna be a lot of broken hearts. So David, tell us about your product if you want to give us a quick elevator pitch.
Well, thank you, Abe. TruthOrLie.ai is a very unique software as a service. Essentially, it is a lie detection tool. What it allows you to do is to either upload a video, think about it, a deposition, an EUO, or an interview that is done over Zoom. You can take that video, upload it, the engine will review it and give you some indication of whether someone's being truthful or not. We like to compare it to the saying, if somebody talks like they're lying, sounds like they're lying, and acts like they're lying, they're probably lying. And what the software does, it looks at microexpressions, it looks at tonality, which is your voice, it looks at your taxonomy with your language, and kind of does a review and gives you some indicator of whether all those things lean left, being truthful, or lean right, being untruthful. And that's really what it does. It's not definitive, but it does give you some insight to the meaning behind what people are responding to.
Okay, very cool. So this lie detection software, it's not a lie detector in the what's a lie detector?
They call it a polygraph test.
It's not a polygraph. They're not hooked up to a heart rate monitor.
No, they are not.
It's a visual. You're on Zoom, you're on Teams, you're on some kind of video interview, video meeting, and it can tell through facial expressions, tone of voice, and things like that if you're more or less likely to be lying.
Correct.
Okay, that's awesome.
Think about it. Poker players call it a tell.
Okay.
Right? Something that you do subconsciously. Well, that's why I play blackjack, because I give it away if I'm bluffing or if I have 4 aces.
Yeah.
Right? But a microexpression is something that people really can't control, but they do when they are not being truthful, or let's say under stress. Right? And the language that people use, right? There's science behind it, quite a bit of science actually, papers and things like that examine what people say and how it can be interpreted. That's the same thing that police do when they look like they're just asking you some random question.
Right.
What they're really doing is gauging your response and trying to size you up, if you will, right? That you're not really aware that you're being sized up. And that's what the software does. It looks at all these elements and gives you some feedback as whether someone's being straight up or maybe they're being deceitful.
Okay. And now this could be done live or later on, analyzed later on.
Well, good question. The answer is can be done both.
Okay.
The easiest way to utilize it, of course, is to take a pre-recorded video, right? It's static. It's available. You upload it. In order to use it live, it takes a little bit of, let's say, preparation, if you would, right? Because you're introducing a software to a Zoom call. You have to have certain permission sets. It's doable. But what it does, though, it gives you some insight of the intent behind what person is responding to. Right? It gives you a little bit of feedback that allows you to kind of probe a little deeper or maybe follow up on something where the indicator is, hey, something is not quite correct. Maybe here's an opportunity to kind of go back and find out a little bit more. So yeah, the answer is both.
Okay, cool. And this is, you guys are also part of a court reporting agency.
That's correct.
They're sister companies, right? So that's kind of how you guys got started with this, is through the court reporting. It was kind of born from that idea, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. As the industry changed when COVID hit, right? Most people were doing things in person. That's how it went on for a long period of time. When everything went to Zoom, there's now this big body of video evidence, right? So the technology was, believe it or not, initiated by the U.S. military. It kind of floated around for a while, went into academia. Somebody connected us, and it made very good sense, right? As a technology-forward company in that space, we were very keen on the technology changes in the industry, and now having a video-based lie detection tool applied to a large body of video testimony really did make good sense. So it's a very interesting mix. And we're getting a lot of interest and a lot of positive feedback about it.
Yeah. And you were telling me that this has all sorts of different markets it could be applicable to.
Correct.
Like, for instance, a job interview. I know that when we interview people, they tell us they're punctual, they love their job, they love, coming into the office, and a week later, they want to work remote. They have a bad attitude. They didn't go to college like they said they did. And you're just like, who are you? And so this could even be used for that if you're doing, let's say, like a Zoom or a Teams call with somebody in a job interview. Is that true?
Yeah, it's pretty correct. We've actually been surprised by the things that have come to us as a result. As a company that's involved in the legal space, that was obviously our first entree, right? We were thinking about insurance fraud, right? Insurance claims where, let's say, some exaggeration, if you want to call it, about the circumstances. Same thing with workers' compensation, right? The fact that maybe somebody's exaggerating what took place. But we've been approached by television companies, right? Think about it. If you're looking for contestants in a reality show, might be very helpful to know if they're being truthful about their background or what they say or the like.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen some interest from employment agencies, right? As you just alluded to, Abe, thankfully, right? People exaggerate their skill sets, might be. So we're constantly looking for new markets and really surprised by the various. We're staying out of the dating game. We're staying out of personal stuff, which we think might be fun, but is very controversial. We don't want to be the subject, of controversy. When the debates came up, we respectfully passed.
Okay.
Because everybody knows that politicians don't lie. So you said it might not be a good application of it. But yeah, we see a lot of different avenues, a lot of different verticals where this might have a place.
Yeah.
So to speak.
You just reminded me of these funny Instagram reels of girls, and they go dating in Miami. And the girl asks the guy, do you have a girlfriend? And he goes, no. She goes, do you have a girl? Do you know a girl who thinks she's your girlfriend? The guy goes, no. Do you live with any women? Do you have a friend who with a special friend with benefits? Like ask 10 different ways, because I guess a lot of guys in Miami have a wife or a girlfriend and they're still dating.
I don't think it's unique to Miami. I think it's something that you do. But yes, believe it or not, we've actually had a number of people. I don't want to get involved in that. I also don't want to be the subject of any, let's say, internal strife.
Yeah, that's interesting. So this is a really cool technology. I don't know of anybody else doing this sort of technology, lie detection, video-based lie detection as an application. So, amazing idea. I love that you guys came up with that. So you're talking about doing this in depositions, in examinations under oath, maybe like just statements in general with an insurance company and a claimant. And so really cool implications here. And it's not 100%, right? So it's not going to say definitely a lie, but it's going to give you some indication of untruthfulness. Is that what it is?
You've got a pretty good understanding of the market and the application, and that's really correct. I think most people are somewhat familiar with the idea of a polygraph test, right? But it's very cumbersome, right? You have to hook up wires, check your heart rate, right? And the polygraph test is never really meant to be definitive. It doesn't say beyond reasonable doubt that 100%, but what it does, it gives you a certain indication of something is not as it is said to be, right? And the whole idea of this video lie detection tool is really parallel to that, right? That the good thing is it also kind of gives you the opposite effect. It does verify when someone is being truthful.
Okay.
Right? So we all talk about when someone's lying, but there's also times when we call it conviction analysis. Is somebody actually saying something they believe in? And that's what we think about the employment market, right? When someone says, hey, I have a certain skill set in this world, do they believe it, or are they kind of bluffing, so to speak? I think it might be interesting for a poker kind of application, right? Think about it. Is somebody bluffing or not? That's why I don't play poker, because I'm very obvious. But the whole idea is using these tools, and there's some science behind it. I think a lot of people might be familiar with, pre-screening tests where they ask, just like you mentioned, the same question 10 different times because the taxonomy that you use gives some insight, right? So there are companies that evaluate their written response, but we haven't seen anybody who's looking at the whole picture, those verbal cues, those tonality cues, those visual cues in the way that we do. We do think it's unique in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Well, the technology we feel is going to get better, just like most AI applications, right?
Oh,
Interesting for the legal community in particular has always been somewhat reluctant to embrace technology quickly. The last few years, we've seen a dramatic change. I think AI is on everybody's lips. It's certainly in the vernacular now, and people are really starting to see that it can be very impactful. It also comes with some risks, right? We're looking at a whole new world, a whole new way of reviewing things that were consistent, right? An interview hasn't really changed. Doing it over Zoom was kind of innovative for a while. Now it's commonplace.
yeah.
We think all these other tools that are innovative and new right now are going to be very commonplace in the short order. And we'd like to have a kind of role in that new paradigm, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. So so you guys are expecting it to improve with like more data, more time, and that's awesome because just AI in general. About a year and a half ago, we started using AI through Salesforce. It's called MuleSoft.
Okay.
They sold us the dream. It was not the dream, but now a year and a half later, it's evolved into something usable that we could use. So I know that AI is evolving very fast. So it's cool that you guys are at the forefront of that in the legal community because for anybody who's watching, we still use fax machines. My IT guy hates the fax. He's like, why can't they just send an email? It's a fax to email. Everything's fax to email. Nobody has a fax machine. It's all digital. He's like, just send us an email. We can track the email. It's a fax is like, you got to search for the fax number that they sent it to. So the legal community does not evolve very quickly, except for this, which I think is amazing idea, concept, and product. So where do you guys see yourselves in the next, I don't know, 5 years? Like what do you think this could evolve into?
We're excited about the potential. Right? I think there's a lot of people in our space who have a great idea, right? The challenge is turning these great ideas into a product, right? Into something that is consistent and usable. I think much like Zoom at one point in time was a cool technology. A lot of people heard about it. And then there was this dramatic outside events that even my mom, who's in her 80s, knows how to do it, right? And I think that acceptance tool for the industry might be a little bit slower because things like the iPhone are for everyone. Things like Zoom is available to everyone. Whereas for legal services really has a subset, right? It's geared for an industry. So maybe not so much investment, but still investment in it. So generally slower, but I think it's going to be pretty common. Just like you said, people used to fax a lot. Now people don't. There was a time when email was new. I remember when my good friend showed me how to text. So why do people text? Now, can't live without it.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a general shift in mindset that all these tools that are new, all these tools that are just evolving will become commonplace.
Yeah.
And needless to say, we'd like to think it as a place. It could be part of vernacular. Take a deposition, get an analysis as a matter of course.
Yeah.
The same way that you would get a bill by taking a deposition, right? We want it to be pretty common, but we're anxious. There's other technologies. The next thing that we're looking at, I don't want to give too much, but is related to video and not being truthful in video environments. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, cool. Now, is this a product that you guys would collaborate with other core reporting agencies where they wanted to offer this as a service? Is that something or?
That's a fair question. The answer is yes.
Okay.
It's really a standalone company. Right? As we alluded to, that there are a number of different verticals that it can be utilized for. So the court reported community is much like the legal community, right? You share information when it's appropriate. You go head to head when it's appropriate, right? There's referrals in the business, which is commonplace and in the court reporting world. So there's no reason that we wouldn't sell it. I mean, we want usage. We want people to adopt it. We want people to become familiar with it. So other agencies, of course, we'd be available to. It's a standalone independent company.
Okay, cool. That's an awesome idea. Do you see any implications for law enforcement with this maybe right now?
We believe so, but I will think that there is a whole training profile for law enforcement that knows how to do this and to be, quite truthful. We've had some people who train attorneys who train police officers on how to assess if someone's being truthful or not. So that's the pool of technology behind the science, right? Poker player who knows bluffs, right? Scientific research, as well as input from people who do on-site field interviews and the like. That's something that's part of the data set that we utilize, right? Foreign language is something that we're experimenting with. Right now, it's just English, but we have some optimism about being able to do it in multiple language, which then opens it up to a much broader audience worldwide, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's probably a huge demographic.
Yeah, it's English right now, but there's a lot of other applications for foreign languages as well.
Okay, very cool. You just got me thinking about that TV show, The First 48, where they're interrogating people, and that's like a live truth detection. Those people are trained.
Yes.
So they might even have this in there eventually, something like this, where it's in the interview process. I'm like, this guy's not really, but those guys are trained to do that stuff.
Sure.
So I guess but that's, I mean, you're talking about years of training, decades of training. You guys have a software that's ready to go.
That's correct. And that's really kind of like the basis, right? And why we thought there would be a need, right? To be able to validate if someone is being forthright or whether someone is kind of shielding something. And that's really what it's meant to be. It's not meant to be definitive. It's not meant to be 100% accurate, but what it is to be able to give you some insight to say, hey, here's where there is some doubt. Here's where you might want to do a little bit of follow-up. And like I said, that video falseness is the next area that we're going to, and we'll kind of leave it at that.
Okay, cool. So if you can, are there any possible ethical concerns that somebody might say, oh, is this ethical to be using AI to, I don't know, fact check somebody? What are your thoughts on that? What would be your response?
Well, I think it's a fair question. Our response really looks at it from the perspective of it's not far removed from having a third party review a deposition testimony. Because essentially, if it's a written response and you have an expert or somebody else review it and say, hey, do you believe what they're saying? Do you believe what their response is accurate? Right. Our position is that third party doesn't necessarily have to be a human, right? That third party can be a software because essentially it's doing the same thing. It's taking the testimony, it's reviewing it, and then giving you some feedback saying, hey, here's where this person has demonstrated where they're being truthful. And here's where we feel that there's some evidence that the person is not being truthful.
Okay. Right.
We've also learned, and this is something that's true, is that technology far outpaces regulation, right? So at some point in time, there's probably going to be some additional thought about something like this. But I think that's true for a lot of technologies, right? Regulation is always lagging innovation. We like to think that there's no reason to think that it can't be used for that reason. It's the same as a third-party review. It just happens to be a non-human third party.
And I don't think I think if anything, one, it's less biased, right? Because if I want, I can pick a guy who always says. I could pick a third party. So that guy's lying there, he's lying here.
That's correct.
But also, it's more of just a general tool to help someone understand when somebody's not being truthful necessarily. It's not definitive. It's got a little disclaimer. Hey, this is what our software says. It's not branding anybody a liar, and I don't even think it'd be admissible in court necessarily, right? But it does help whoever's using it oh, this person is being truthful here, or they're possibly not being truthful. So I like that. It gives you both. It gives you truthfulness and untruthfulness, right? So I don't see it ethically being an issue. And if anything, it gives another insight, into it. So I think it's a great tool, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I need it right now. I'll tell you a funny story. We have a client who he claims he knocked out all of his teeth from the car accident, and he has like no teeth right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a big case for us. Like, this guy has no teeth. It got knocked out. I look at the damage to the car and I go, this doesn't look like it knocked out the guy's teeth. Maybe he wasn't wearing a seatbelt or something. I don't know. So then the insurance company gives us this low offer compared to what his teeth are. And I go, well, that's odd. So I'm talking with the guy and I'm looking at the file and I'm like, wait a second. He never went. The police officer wrote down he's got like heart issues. He's got like hypertension. He doesn't mention, hey, his teeth just got knocked out. There's no photos of his teeth like broken, The guy sends us a picture of his face and mouth the day after the accident. And it looks no blood, no bumps, no swelling, no nothing. And I'm realizing this guy's got him lying. Like, something's up here, None of the doctors mention his teeth or nothing. But he's like, here's a photo of my before, here's a photo of me now. Perfect teeth. And I thought about it. He's got to have those false removable teeth that people, have. I forget what they're called, but
dentures, I think.
Like word. Yeah. And I'm like, it's got to be. It's just so odd. And if I had this software, when I'm talking to the guy, put him on video, I'll get the answer. Because I'm just like, he wants, millions of dollars. They knocked out my teeth, this and that. But the records don't reflect that. And I'm going, and he didn't go to the hospital. So if I knocked out my teeth, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to the hospital, I'm going to a dentist,
Mm-hmm.
So I just see this having so many implications, so many possibilities, this software. So I really like it. So if somebody's out there, they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get in contact with your company and to learn more about you?
Well, the easiest, most common way is really to go to the website. It's called TruthOrLie.ai. You can upload your video for yourself, right? It's pretty straightforward, right? We have a corporate program. And one of the things I also wanted to point out is that this could actually be a training tool, particularly for the legal community, right? Because now that all these things are done on Zoom and Teams and things like that, that personal space of being eye to eye and being in the room with somebody is really lost, right? There's a lot of people now who are exclusively on Zoom and similar teams, and being able to assess somebody the way that you do in person doesn't really exist in that two-dimensional world, right? So as a training tool, it could be an advantage to kind of say, hey, here's the things that people are doing that you can now try and pick up on, right? So to bring it all together, it's really TruthOrLie.ai. We encourage people to come take a look, to try it out, recognize that it is a tool, and then it's only going to get better as we go forward. So thank you for the time today. It's been enjoyable.
Thank you. I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you. For those of you watching, David Blaze, TruthOrLie.ai. I love the software. Check it out. And thank you for watching. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Hey,